Well, hi, once again, I'm Morgan VonHaden, and I'm the director of the Statewide Family Engagement Center. And I love family engagement. I've been doing it for over 9 years now, specifically in South Dakota. And I get very excited and very passionate about family engagement. Dana?
I'm Dana Livermount. I'm a certified school counselor and joined the Statewide Family Engagement Center last summer. I'm housed out of Sioux Falls, so I mostly get to work with families and school districts on the east side of the state. So super happy to be here with you today. And I don't know if you noticed, but I did put a wedding background here, so we're going all out on the wedding theme today.
We always like to know who is joining us. So once again, if you're on Nearpod, we'd love for you to share your name, location, and what does family engagement mean to you? And this can either be a picture, a couple words. I've also been seeing lots of friends through our group chat. So please, if you haven't done so already, if you're not on Nearpod, please share with us where are you from in our group chat. And you can also share what does family engagement mean to you? And we'll be shouting them out back and forth. And what's so cool is that we can capture all this different information.
So I'm seeing Kadoka, Howard, Selby, my friend Martin from Menno, Aberdeen, another from Kadoka, another Dana from Spearfish.
So cool.
We're covering the whole state. This is so great. And some of you are answering the question about family engagement, so we're seeing a few responses about that. If you like anything that anybody is posting, you can click on the little hearts on their comments, and it gives them a little red heart.
Oh, we also have from the other organizations like Lifescape. Thank you for being with us. High school, middle school, elementary school, early childhood, support staff. Wow, this is awesome, you guys. United team that is student-centered. That was showing up in our chat box.
Very nice.
Excellent.
Okay, we have somebody who posted a picture as well. It looks like it might be the Terry Redlin Museum, so maybe someone's joining us from Watertown. Sneaky.
We also have Wyoming popping up. Welcome from Moorcroft, Wyoming.
Okay, for the sake of time, I think we will move on, but thank you so much for joining in our Collaborate board.
Well, today, real quick, when we're done with our time together, you're gonna leave with an understanding of the importance of deeper and stronger family engagement. We're also gonna give you resources and activities that you can use in your schools and also at the district level. And we're also gonna give you a short introduction to how can the South Dakota Statewide Family Engagement Center better support your guys' work moving forward?
And what we're going to start off talking about is relationships. And so we're going to talk a little bit about dating, and we're not asking you to date the families that you work with, but we're going to kind of think about that metaphorically. So to kick us off, think about relationships, maybe it's your past dating life or relationships you've observed either through literature or just family members. And what is the difference between just dating someone and being engaged to someone? So we want you to think about that. Like, what changes in the level of trust, the level of communication, when you go from just dating to actually being engaged and making that commitment? So with that, we invite you to share out a few of the things that you're thinking of. Share something that when you think about relationships, when you go from dating to being engaged, how does that change?
And once again, if you're just joining us, we did let you know we were going to do this presentation on Nearpod, and we do have a capacity of 100, and we've had a great turnout during this presentation. So folks that weren't able to get onto Nearpod, please know that we are going to share this out to our shared drive that Ty has put together. We'll make sure to capture all these different comments that are also coming to our group chat. And know that we will take care of, we're going to build our relationships and we'll take care of you guys. So some of the comments that are also coming through in our group chat is building relationships, short-term versus long-term commitment. These are great. Oh, I like this. And don't forget, yes, you can keep heart if there's things that you see that are coming up. I love the pictures.
Dedication. I like this one. They become a higher priority in your life, specifically with your time.
Oh, very nice. And here's one, in terms of commitment, it is huge. You are engaged. And it just popped down. So sorry, Steph, I lost the rest of what you just typed in. We'll make sure to capture all of these though. Dating, not too serious, leisure, commitment, trust, partnership.
Awesome. So when we think about engagement with schools, we want schools to start thinking about moving into more of an engagement. We use the word family engagement, but are we really engaged in a high level with families? And so it's not just about calling when you need something, or we have an event coming up of just letting you know, but thinking about that commitment, that trust, that planning for the future, and being involved in every decision you make. That's what we're hoping for when we talk about family engagement. So that's the whole premise of this presentation, is how can we move the needle on family engagement away from maybe just kind of a dating situation between schools and families into a more committed relationship.
Where are you guys starting from? Looking at your school, looking at your community, where are you?
Yeah, so the start of any relationship is kind of determining where are you at and where do you need to go. So we're going to do a quick activity to just kind of get your take on where you think you're at right now. So on the next 4 slides, we're going to describe 4 different schools. And as we kind of talk about the different schools, we want you to think about the one that most closely matches your school. And so there won't be a perfect match for any of these, but just kind of think like, yeah, I think I'm most like this school. And each slide will be a different color. So try to remember your color at the end of the 4 slides.
So we're going to start off with our blue slide. And on this blue slide, it says our family center. So your school has a family center, first of all, but our family center is always open, full of interesting learning materials to borrow. Our school has home visits that are made to every new family. Activities honor the family's contribution. And the building is open to the communities for use, and social services are available to families. So this would be the blue card.
All right, so you may be thinking, okay, yeah, that sounds like my school, and then just keep it in your mind, I'm a blue school. Let's look at the next one. Pink school. So in the pink school, teachers contact families individually once a year. So it's not just I sent a letter home, but makes contact with each family every year. There's a parent coordinator may be available to help if families have questions or need help navigating something. Office staff is always friendly, and staff contacts community agencies and organizations if families need help. So if this kind of matches some of the mindsets and behaviors of your school, maybe your pink school.
And before we keep doing the different colors of cards, we also know that there's different types of schools. So this is just, right now, we're just kind of talking about in general. But then if you do have a specific school, like you're a tech school or you're a boarding school or you're preschool, you may have some different looks to it. So please know that. So think of this from more of a public, tribal, private school idea, maybe not so much a boarding school, but even the boarding school, you might be able to picture your school within some of these. So I just wanted to share that with you. On this next card, which is kind of it's our yellow, so goldenrod color, we better educate Our better educated parents are more involved than other parents. A thought might be many immigrant parents don't have time to come or contribute. Staff are very selective about who comes into the school. So this would be the goldenrod color.
And the last school is maybe a school where families do not bother school staff. You might have staff that think minority families don't value education. School feels kind of like a jail when you enter, and we realize almost every school has checkpoints, but is it sort of like the buzzer and they just kind of walk in and nobody says anything? And it's important to keep the community influences out of school. So that would be kind of an orange school. So based on those four, maybe you have a color in your head, and maybe you're in between one of these, but are you thinking, I'm kind of a blue school, or maybe pink school, yellow school, or orange school?
And please keep in mind, just like when we look at our kiddos, we love everyone when they come to us. We want to have an understanding of where you are, because ultimately by the end of the school year, by the end of working together with someone, you have a progression of where you might be, or where do you want to go up, or where do you want to end up. Also keep in mind that you might be really good in one area, but maybe struggling in another area when it comes to communication, when it comes to, well, I don't know, I think we might be all rock stars at communication by the time that this is all done. So when I'm looking at these colors, the orange school, and all of this is based out of Karen Mapp's Powerful Partnerships, or even her Beyond the Bake Sale. But the orange school is the fortress school. Some of the beliefs that come from that is that our parents don't value education. And we'd be a good school if we had different kids and in a different neighborhood. So that might be some perceptions of a fortress school. Of the yellow school, it's come if we call you school. We'll call the parents when we need them. We set the terms and we call the shots. The pink school is the open door school. We have lots of activities for families. We keep parents busy so they'll stay out of our hair. We're good. And then the blue school is the partnership school. We can never do it without our families. We work with parents and our community to do whatever it takes to help out our kids. So that would be the 4 levels.
Yeah, and I just love what Morgan said about taking you where you're at on this. The goal is to move along on the progression. It's not to make everybody a partnership school like overnight, because you think about your students when they enter your doors at the beginning of the year, they may be at a below basic or basic, and we're trying to move them along and get them to proficient, but really the goal is to show movement and growth. And that's what we're hoping for schools, is to just pick something to really work on and show growth so that you're getting stronger in at least one area. And knowing that becoming a partnership school does not happen overnight. So those questions that we, or I guess the descriptions that we gave you in the different colored slides were all about building relationships. But to truly understand where you're at in partnering with families, there's actually some other areas what you want to look at too. Linking to learning. So how well are you linking the work that's happening at school so that way families can support it at home and understand it. Supporting advocacy. So engaging parents and allowing them to have a voice to be strong for their family, for their students, addressing differences and cultural differences within your school, and then sharing power, which is really hard, I think, for schools sometimes to understand how that can happen, but to give families the opportunity to also share the power in what happens at the school. So those are 5 areas you want to look at in determining your partnerships with your families. So next up is an activity we're going to share with you. We just did the first part of it, the building relationships, but the other 4 areas you can assess at your school using this activity. So I'm just going to show you quickly. We uploaded this activity into our session resources, so it's available for you after the presentation. It's great for staff meetings, or if you have maybe a senior leadership team at your school, or even if you're at the district level and you work with administrators, doing this activity to just kind of get an idea to reflect on where you're at. So basically for this, you would just print out each page on a different color, and all of the information is there, and then you sort them out, and then you can kind of determine based on those 5 areas if you are a fortress school or maybe a partnership school. So make sure you check that out after the session.
And now we would love to know, I've been seeing in the chat box where people feel that their school is right now. Once again, there's no right or wrong. We just wanted you to take a moment to self-reflect. So now we're also going to invite, if you're on Nearpod, to please share with us, where do you feel your school is on the spectrum? If you're an open door school, partnership school, commonly called school, or a fortress school. So orange, golden rod, yellow color, pink, or blue. Wonderful.
So we can see here as the responses are coming in, about half of the people who are on Nearpod haven't responded, but it looks like about a quarter of the people and half of the people who have responded feel like they're an open door school, which is great. About maybe a third come if we call, and then kind of a sliver on each of the bookends at the fortress level and at the partnership level. So we're kind of all over the board, but it looks like the majority of schools in South Dakota, or the people who are responding here, are feeling like they're an open door school, which is a great spot to start.
And Dana, that's also what I'm seeing in the chat for the people who aren't in Nearpod. Overwhelmingly open door, also a few pinks and maybe a blue here and there.
Great, thanks, Julie.
Yeah.
All right. So we know what you might be thinking, right? You've got a ton of things on your plates if you're working in a school. You've got standards to hit, you've got state testing, you've got a million plates in the air, and you may be thinking, who has time for family engagement, and why should we make that commitment? Maybe I'll set it over here and I'll kind of get to it if I have a chance. It's not a priority.
Oh, but it's so important. This is where I get excited, you guys. This whole thing is so important. Family engagement is amazing. It is. So I'm going to tell you some reasons why. And I know many of you know this. A lot of this is steeped in research and is evidence-based practices now, which is so cool to watch the family engagement world growing and just seeing the strategies that are coming out. So we know family engagement keeps students focused. It does. You have the buy-in from home. You have those connections. The kids are focused. Children with engaged parents are more likely to do all these different things. Earn higher grades or test scores. It seems like that'd be something so simple. It does, though. If you have those engaged parents at home and an understanding, and I'm hoping you're seeing some of this as our time is growing as it is right now. They're earning higher grades and test scores.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on what Morgan is saying, there's a lot of research now showing that strong partnerships with families actually has a stronger effect size than even some of the things we usually focus on, like classroom strategies and curriculum. So it actually is pretty powerful.
Graduate from high school and attend post-secondary education, whatever type of higher education that looks like for that family. We've seen a lot of increase when we engage at the family level, and depending even what that family looks like, because we know families look very different, but engaging with the whole group will show that there's a higher increase for graduation rates. Develop self-confidence and motivation in the classroom. I just love that, because we see it with our own kids, right? As we ask them questions and we pull out some of that information, especially when it's open-ended, then that gives them that confidence that they can also bring into the classroom to be able to have those conversations. Which leads right into have better social skills and classroom behavior. It all ties together.
So as you can see, there's a lot of research in the field of family engagement, and it's picking up a lot of steam in the education sphere, and even in Congress. As you can see, they've allocated funds to family engagement, which is how our organization is funded. So there's a big movement here for family engagement and a lot of research supporting strong outcomes for students and families. So hopefully you're sold on the idea. And now that you want to start working on family engagement or strengthen the things you're doing, it's important to know where you're coming from. So relationships all have different starting points, but how do we build on that and move up to the next level? So the next tool we're going to share with you is a checklist, and I'm going to pull it up just so you can see how you can use it. Again, this is linked in our session resources, so if you want to use this either with your grade level team, your whole school team, maybe as a leadership team, how it makes sense for your school, but it may be a resource that you can use to kind of determine where you want to go from here. So this is the tool, and it is from Joyce Epstein, who is a major researcher and playmaker in family engagement. She's pretty awesome. But basically, it goes through different categories of family engagement, and you can look by grade level and just determine which things are you doing or maybe want to. There's a little key here to know what are the things you're doing very well with families right now. Maybe there's things you've got a good start or you're doing, but you know you need to work on it. Or maybe there's things that you're not doing at all, but you're interested in. So you can go through this whole inventory and pick out a few things that you really want to work on. And again, I would caution you, it's not that you have to do every one of these things. It's different for each grade level and each school. And that's what's pretty cool about family engagement is you can tailor it to what makes sense for you and your community. So this is just a guide for your thinking, and you know, pick out a few things that you want to work on that are very manageable and that you know that you can make growth with.
What I really love about this worksheet is that it kind of just gets you thinking, doing it with your team, and it's like, well, have we done this? Well, how could we do this? And it just opens up some of those conversations. And if you've been in the family engagement world for a long time, it's like, well, I think we've done that. And then you'll have newbies that say, I think we did that when I was in high school, because we'll see that also, like, right, our high school kids are coming back to teach sometimes in our more, especially our more rural schools.
Yeah, I love that too, because sometimes they'll say, yeah, we're doing that. And it's like, yeah, but are we doing it the same way we've done the last 15 years? So maybe it's a good practice, but it needs a little updating or some fresh eyes. So just a great way to just reflect on what you are doing and maybe some things that you might want to start doing.
And like Dana said, this does come from Joyce Epstein. We do a lot of research, but we've been working with schools across the state for years, and also through Department of Ed Title I, they've been doing family-friendly walkthroughs. So we've been doing family-friendly walkthroughs, and when we hear these different conversations that are happening, we do capture those conversations and those thoughts and those ideas, because there's so much great stuff happening. We want to be able to share it with larger groups of people. And like I said, I've been doing this a long time, and a lot of times we keep hearing, well, I've been there, I've done that, right? Even when we're maybe been married once before, we've been there, done that. Like, oh my goodness, more family engagement stuff. But let me tell you, it's good. It's very good. We can learn a lot from what has happened and what hasn't worked from others.
Yeah, something that I've noticed too, when you get educators together, well, most of them are pretty chatty, so you start talking, but you can have these great conversations like, oh, okay, I'm really struggling with engaging families for a reading night. And then someone else can say, oh, have you tried this? This is what we do in our school. And some of those are the most amazing and rich conversations. So the next thing we want to share with you is an activity that you can do it works best if you can go with people that you don't even know and get fresh ideas, but you could even do it within your own school to see what other teachers are doing or what other grade levels are doing. So I'm just going to quickly share this activity with you. It's called Discussion Dice. Again, this is in our session resources if you want to do it later. But basically all you need is a set of dice, and if you break into more groups, obviously you would need more dice for each group, but you roll the dice and you have conversations based on the questions here. And it just kind of gets you thinking about, you know, what are things that you have done or things that you need ideas for. And I just love that it gets people thinking, like, they may think, oh, we don't have any good ideas about this. And then it's like, oh yeah, we do this, this, and this, and it's actually working. So just having those conversations to start. And if this was a smaller session or an in-person session, we would break you into groups and we'd let you have a go at it. But since we're doing this virtually with 518 of our friends, we're gonna change it up a little bit. As you saw, Morgan has a set of dice. And so,
oh, I love games, guys. I love games.
And instead of breaking up into groups, we're going to let Morgan roll the dice on this one, and whatever she comes up with will be the question that we will answer together in a collaborate board, and hopefully you guys can get some ideas from each other.
All right, here we go. We're shaking the dice, throwing them. Oh, we got 10.
Morgan should have been like a Vegas dealer. Just kidding, you're great where you're at. So, so the 10 was a great strategy to increase communication between home and school was. So on this collaborate board, if you have the opportunity, and if you're not in Nearpod, it's okay, just share through the chat. What are some strategies that you have tried that would increase communication between home and school? All right, seeing some things coming in. Keep in mind, we hope that you keep in mind here too, that communication is a two-way street. So a lot of times when we think about communication, especially in schools, we're thinking about, all right, what are we pushing out to parents and families? But try to think about what are those strategies you can utilize that allow families to have a voice back into the school and into your classroom as well.
Ooh, a contest amongst grades. So I'm just kind of picking out some of the things that are coming through chat also, along with everything else. This is great, you guys. Thank you.
In the chat, I'm seeing a lot about Class Dojo and Remind, School Messenger, Blooms, Facebook. A lot of Class Dojo, though.
Thank you.
So Facebook is a great tool even for schools, but I'm seeing a lot of educators, counselors creating their own professional Facebooks as well to communicate more with families or older students.
Wonderful. I also saw having talking points, especially for EL students.
What I love about some of these tools, in particular, the Remind app, I know Class Dojo, and I think Seesaw as well have translation features within them. So if you're working with, you know, populations of EL students or families of English learners, those may be great tools to utilize to kind of be able to break down some of those language barriers and communicate with families.
So many great ideas. I love this. YouTube, Facebook story time.
What was that?
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
You can see how this tool is great to just get conversation going with different groups, and you can just continue to roll the dice. When we've done it before, we've just set a time limit for groups and just said, keep going around and rolling the dice, and had a lot of really nice, rich conversation from it. So we've just kind of broken the surface on some family engagement things. If you want to learn more about the research of family engagement and then tools that you can do, here's some texts that we would recommend. These first two, Powerful Partnerships and Beyond the Bake Sale, really come from the research of Karen Mapp, who's kind of the head of this field. So anybody who's been engaged with family engagement is like Karen Mapp. Oh, she's awesome. And
She
so
is awesome, though.
she's amazing. The first book, Powerful Partnerships, I think is actually the best of these three, just because it's short, it's easy, it's very palatable, and it's kind of a nice first take on family engagement. There's lots of parent and educator testimonies and links to videos that you can watch. So if you're kind of just dipping your toes into family engagement, I think that's a great text to start with. The Beyond the Bake Sale is a larger text, and it goes more in depth on some of the concepts from Powerful Partnerships. So it's a little bit more of a deeper dive. And then the School, Family, and Community Partnerships is actually one of my favorite texts that comes from Joyce Epstein, but it's a little bit more technical. So if you're ready to kind of really dive in with your school team on some family engagement activities, it's got some step-by-step things that you can do, including like the starting points survey. So lots of really great information in there. It also comes with a CD, so you can just pop it into a CD drive if you still have one of those. It also is online if you do not, like me. But three great texts for you to check out if you're interested in family engagement.
And I just want to add, so like for Beyond the Bake Sale, it was written in the early 2000s, and there has been discussions like, do we need a newer book? Do we not? And one thing that we keep seeing and we keep hearing is that it's tried and true. It's good stuff. Even though it relates to stuff that was happening in 2000s, it still relates to things that are happening today. And there's just so much good content that comes out of all of these books. And like Dana was saying, the book by Joyce Epstein, it is a little more technical. It's a nice sized book, but it is 4th edition. And I have the 2nd edition in my office that I got from my predecessor, Lori Laughlin, who was my director for years. And it's just good stuff. Had you a shout out to Lori Laughlin.
She's amazing.
So those are some of the books that everything that we do is based on. That is, we love our research. We love knowing why we're doing what we're doing. And then now, how can we support you guys? How can we support schools, educators, families moving forward into next school year and school years in the future? One of the things that we do is called a family-friendly walkthrough. The color project that we did earlier today just very much touched the surface on the different areas that we look at when we do a family-friendly walkthrough. And it's just good to know, where do we even start? With a family-friendly walkthrough, we have a team of staff that have been trained, and we are able to survey your staff, survey your families, and then we come to your school, and we invite the administrator to invite 2 to 3 other educators, to invite 3 to 6 family members, and with this team of about 10 people, we look at your physical environment, we look at the school-wide communications, we look at learning connections, and we also look at communication. It's about a 3-hour process, but when it's done, we have so much great conversation, rich information that we're able to take, and we look at what's working well and what are some recommendations that we can bring back to the school that are realistic. Some of it might be big dreams, but what's also realistic that we can bring back to the school administration and say, here's a team that believes in their school, and this is what we can do moving forward. So that's our family-friendly walkthrough.
And just to add to what Morgan is saying is, if you think your school could benefit from a family-friendly walkthrough, you want to learn more about it, we started scheduling those out for next year. You know, fingers crossed that we'll be able to enter buildings at some point. So reach out to us via email. We'll have our emails up at the end of the presentation, but they're also on our session page as well. So just shoot us an email and we can start a conversation about that.
And I should also throw out there, so we did have some scheduled for the rest of this school year. Obviously, we pushed them to next school year now. And because we are a federal grant with the Statewide Family Engagement Center, for within South Dakota, we're able to offer our family-friendly walkthroughs at no cost to the schools. So this is definitely a service for you guys to get that starting, like where do we even start? Where do we go from here? So we can help with those conversations.
Just wanted to put a little shout out here in the chat. Amber Michelson, who is our friend from Agar Blunt Oneida, says she absolutely recommends a family-friendly walkthrough. So there's a little testimonial for you. Hi, Amber. Glad you're here.
And Brittany also says, highly recommends a family-friendly walkthrough. Great experience for all involved. So thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Just before you guys get started, we're getting close to your 10-minute notification. So you actually have about 12 minutes right now, but I thought this was a good time to kind of remind you where you are in the presentation.
Thank you.
Thanks for keeping us on track, Julie. So the next tool that we have, or resource that we have, is our Family Engagement Champions cohort. And we did our first cohort here in the spring, and we have had to make some adjustments due to not being able to get together face-to-face, but we're getting through it. It's something that we're going to offer every year for the next few years. And what it is we bring a group of educators together from across the state, teams of 2 from schools. And we meet face-to-face, and then we also have some virtual meetings. We do some deeper dives into the meaning of family engagement, why it's important, and some powerful beliefs behind it. We take the time to reflect on what's happening individually in those schools using some different tools, and then guide them along in planning for some deeper family engagement activities. So it's a whole guided process, but the cool thing is everybody who's in the cohort is learning and growing together. So there's a community to it too. So if you think that you would want to apply to be a part of the Family Engagement Champions, I encourage you to check us out on Facebook or sign up for our newsletter, which we'll share later, because we'll be pushing that information out for the fall.
We also offer a family engagement toolkit course. We offered one in the fall and one in the spring. And what we have learned, because it is a self-paced course, and educators, you guys are busy, busy people. So we actually have this as a rotating start date, so you can start anytime, and it's a self-paced course. And I believe this is our 3rd year that we've offered it, and we always fill up because it has such great content. And we did this in partnership with the Department of Education. And you can, once again, get graduate credit for it, CEUs, to go towards your guys' education. And it's our Family Engagement Toolkit course.
And the last thing we want to highlight, of course, we have a ton more stuff on our website, but another highlight here is our book studies. We have different titles that we're offering for book studies for CEUs throughout the year. The one that's on our website right now is For Students Rich Teaching, which is a great resource on how to work with students who come from poverty. So both the book studies and the toolkit resource, how to register, are highlighted in our session resources.